Take a look at this. Please like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share this video to all of your friends. Now, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so welcome to this video, and today we will deal with the second episode of our How to Make a One Piece Game Season 2. And first of all, thank you for your insane support recently, guys. You are amazing, really, guys. So I'm happy that a lot of you people have liked my idea on that second season I'm now starting. And yeah, so I'm just happy that you've liked it, that you enjoyed it, and that you still support my work, guys. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Now let's just get started with this. So let's just start with where we have left over in the last episode. So we wanted to create this scene right here, and we have just imported our work from Blender onto these three mesh parts right here. And I now want to show you how you can automatically attach hair, hats, accessories whatsoever onto your character, but also onto just dummies. So these are obviously not my characters, so I have just made them and I'm not able to move them or anything, so these are dummies basically. And I'm now about to show you how you can just easily attach those things automatically on your dummies, on your characters whatsoever. Alright, so in order to do that, first of all, let's select Gold Roger right here, then perform a right click, insert an object. So you're not able to see what I'm inserting right now because OBS is not recognizing that tab, but however, go to insert object and then insert an accessory right here. So you have to insert this thing. Now duplicate it because one will represent the hair and the other one will represent the mustache. So let's just do that. Let's name this one thing hair and let's name the second thing mustache. And now basically just select either the hair or the mustache, so it depends on with which you have started right now, and then you can either cut this thing off, let's place it inside. And yeah, do not forget to name this thing handle. Let's re-add this inside of our accessory. And as you can see, it automatically has moved up here to our Roger's head. And now you might ask, so how am I able to change this hair's position? All you need to do is click on the accessory, and as you can see in this properties tab right here, you need to play around with these settings. So what I can recommend you to do is attachment forward. So as you can see, just try and change this to 1 maybe, and as you can see, it has turned around. And then if you have the correct rotation, but you still need to play around with the positioning. Okay, so I've just fixed the rotation as you can see, and now I just want to position this thing a bit more down, a bit more lower. Then you can play around with the attachment pause. So this thing stands for the x-axis, this stands for the y-axis, and this stands for the z-axis. So the y-axis in the middle is always responsible for the height, for up and down. And I don't know, but I always I'm always confused when I have to adjust these two, so the x and z axis. Sometimes I think that the x axis is right here, this one, and sometimes I think that the z axis is on this axis, but it actually is on this one. But I'm just getting a little bit confused on that. So look, as you can see, you can just add this view selector right here, and then you can see on which side those axes are located. So as you can see, the z-axis is on this one, and the x is on this one, and the y is always on this one. Okay, so if you do not know what I'm talking about, this has to do with math, and so I recommend pay attention to school or whatsoever if you do not know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so we gotta adjust the y-axis first of all, and then maybe the z-axis a little, but let's just work with the y-axis first of all. So let's put this to 0.5. Okay, as you can see, it is obviously too much because the head is sticking out. Let's put this to 35. Okay, it's too much as well. No, it is not too much. Let's put this to 4. I think 4 could be perfect. Okay. Doesn't seem so. Okay, 45 seems a lot more better. Okay, there we go. So we have reached some kind of limit right here. Let's just leave it as 0.455. I think that this should be perfect. And I'm not sure if we should play around with the z-axis, because I think the hair actually is okay. So let's just deal with the mustache now. Where is it? There we go. Let's call this handle as well. And let's move this inside of our accessory we've just made. And there we go. Let's give this thing a good size right here. Let's re-add this inside of our dummy. Now let's play around with the positioning. So we obviously need to change the z-axis, not the x one. So like this. Of course, a bit more. Then the y-axis right here, and there we go. So as you can see, it looks like Roger a bit. Well, not a bit, but I think that this guy actually looks like Roger. And yeah, so there we go. So this is it with Roger. Now let's attach those heads to our guards right here. Let's just quickly do that. For those purposes, again, create an accessory, call this one head, and then call this mesh part right here handle. So this mesh part is obviously our head. And then, of course, move it inside. Let's take a look, and the head fits perfectly. Now we can just copy this one and paste it into our second guard, and well, if this happens to you, so if the positioning is not correct, then just re-add it into your guard. So re-adding helps always when something's wrong with the positioning, with the rotation, although you know that it shouldn't be wrong. And yeah, so our scene is almost complete. There's still a thing I would like to build in Blender before we actually start on positioning the camera and creating the scene with, yeah, a bit of text, a bit of, I don't know, music, whatsoever, camera movement. And yeah, so I wanted to create those weapons those guards have, so those long swords with which they, yeah, kill Roger in the end. So let's just do those very quickly. So let me start Blender for that. And yeah, so there we go. We're now in Blender. And as always, I am enabling this plugin right here, so you can see my keyboard inputs, my mouse inputs. So Shift A allows you to add something new. So let's add this cube right here. I'm just gonna freestyle create those swords. But let me just see those weapons only one time. Okay, there we go. Okay, so pressing tab allows you to switch into the edit mode, as you can see up here, and then Press Ctrl R to create cuts, and then move your mouse wheel up to increase or decrease the number of cuts. So rotating or moving your mouse wheel down obviously decreases it, and moving it up increases it. So let's create 4 cuts. Now let's do the same on the other side. Or we can just basically do the following. So let's just do that. Let's create 1 cut right here, and press Z, and then go to wireframe so you can switch into this editing mode right here. Let's create 1 more cut right here, and let's select those and let's delete them. Yeah, so you might ask why I'm deleting those. Go to this wrench modifier, this wrench icon, and then go to add modifier, and then go to mirror, and this is the reason why. So now we are able to mirror our work. So it means if I do a change right here, it is being mirrored on the other side. And if I delete those as well, and then hit X, then we are able to totally mirror everything, as you can see. And so this is it. I'm just gonna model a little, but there's like something's wrong, to be honest, with faces. So I obviously created too much cuts, I think. So I'm just gonna quickly fix those cuts. If you have experienced the same issue, then follow my step. If not, then wait for me or whatsoever. Okay, there we go. So let's create two cuts on each side. Move this thing, and then move this thing, and then move this one, and then move this one, and so on, guys. All right. So we have got this round shape right here. Now let's increase the height. Let's make it a bit more thin. So select it, press S, and then either X, Y, or Z to scale on the desired axis. So I'm gonna press S, then X, then Y, whatsoever. So I'm just gonna scale on multiple axes, as you can see. And yeah, I think that this is actually a bit too much, so let me just lower it. Okay, so this is all right. Now let's select everything again, and then or only the upper part. Then press E to extrude, and then Z to only move the newly extruded parts on this Z axis. So let's do that. Then I'm gonna select those ones. then do a little bit of rotation. And I'm really sorry if you're not able to like yeah, follow my steps that easily, but to be honest, well, I expect you guys to, well, have a little bit of Blender knowledge for like proceeding with this video. And if not, then I highly recommend you to acquire that knowledge, because if you want to make a decent game, then you should, yeah, be able to model, guys, be able to script, be able to animate. But I think that the most important parts are modeling and scripting. I think that animating is something everyone can like do, but I gotta admit that I'm not very good at animating, so you should be careful when like, yeah, hearing my statements about animating, because as I said, I'm not that good in creating animations. Right, so to be honest, I think that this is probably enough. I'm not gonna do something, yeah, pretty detailed out of it, so I'm just gonna use this one. Okay, now in order to export this whole thing, go to File, Export, OBJ, then, yeah, select something right here. So let me just quickly, yeah, set up a file in which I can save this thing to. There we go. And now let's switch back to our studio. Alright, so let's just quickly import this weapon by, again, inserting a mesh part. Let's call this thing weapon. Now, yeah, go to mesh ID and select your saved OBJ file. There we go. So as you can see, we have some issues with the faces right here, but thank God Roblox has added this double-sided property right here. So let's just tick this one, and as you can see, everything turns back to normal. Yeah, so very good that Roblox has added that thing. Oh, you probably could have, set this whole thing to smooth and then add this edge split modifier to it, but well, it's not necessary. I mean, this sword looks totally fine, I think. And yes, so let's just move this to this guard's hand. As you can see, we have to change the size, of course, because this whole thing is just too long currently. Let's quickly do that, and yeah, so there we go. This should be okay, I think. Alright. Now add this inside of our, it must be the second guard right here. Yeah, so this is the second guard. So add this into his character. And now also check for, so disable this can collide option. Make sure it's unanchored. And now you might be wondering, alright, so if this thing is not anchored, then how is it able to like stay inside of the air or stay inside of his hand? So otherwise, if it's not anchored and if it is not able to collide with something, it would just fall through this whole map, okay? So how is this thing able to stay even if the anchored option is disabled? Now the thing is that we have to weld this sword onto our guard's right hand. So in order to do that, perform a right click on this weapon, so you cannot see that again because my recording program is not recognizing it, but perform a right click, then insert a object and look for a weld constraint. So as you can see, it is this one right here. And now always when you try to weld, okay, so this does not have to apply to our weapon, but it also applies to every other thing. So you need to work with part 0 and part 1. And the part 1 is always the part you want to attach your, well, in this case, weapon to. And in this case, we want to attach our weapon to our hand. Therefore, our part 0 is the hand. And the hand, for now, is our right hand. So this one. Okay, so this is our part 0. Let's just select that. And now our part 1 is, of course, our weapon. So part 1 is the thing we want to attach. And the part 0 is the thing we want to attach our part 1 to. Okay, so that's about welding. Now we've just attached this one. Let's do the same for this guard right here, because he still remains unarmed. And yeah, so there we go. Let's just move it and then re-weld everything to his hand. In this case, it is the left hand. Yeah, so as you can see, part 0 is empty because we've moved this whole thing outside of the guard 2's character, and the part 0 was located in the second guard's character. So now select the left hand because we want to attach this whole thing to this hand, and now things are attached and we can start with the scene. So with the actual scene creation right here. So there are many things we could start with. I think that we should start with the camera positioning first of all. So let's make this thing be our subject, our camera subject. Let's even call this thing cam sub. And make sure it's anchored, can collide as false, and its transparency is set to 1. So it basically is invisible to everyone. Now duplicate it. let's move it to, yeah, somewhere else. Let's say we want to move it to, or we want to move it right here. Right here, where I am currently, so a bit more on, not a bit more, but pretty far away. And why do we do that? Because we want to create some kind of zoom, so we want the player to first of all see the scene from pretty far away, so from here, and then once the player recognizes the scene, we want the camera immediately to zoom into Roger's face, or to the guards whatsoever, and then Roger is like holding his speech about the One Piece before he gets stabbed by those guards right here. So that was my plan for the scene, and I think that we should be able to do that scene in this video. And in the next video we can move on with the menu creation, with teleporting to other places, and then after that video we will deal with a character customization, and that character customization will probably last, I don't know, at least 2 episodes, I think. So we will create many things. We will create hair, we will create clothing, maybe faces, and maybe accessories as well. So I'm not sure right now on what we should create inside of that character creator. So if you have any ideas, then drop them down inside of the comment section, guys. I'm reading every comment, and every comment I've read receives a heart from you, so you guys know that I have noticed your comment. Okay, now get back to this one. This is our cam C frame 1. Let's duplicate it. Let's move it to our Roger, onto the scene here. Let's call this cam C frame 2. And let's just get started with these 3 components right here. So I just want to experiment a little, just want to see how things look like. So add this local script inside of our starter GUI. We call this camera. Well, probably not the way I've done it. So let's edit this. Yeah, there we go. So now the first line, always defining variables. So let's define the camera as a variable. So cam workspace current camera, and then let's define those 3 camera parts down here. So cam C frame 2, cam sub, and cam C frame 1. So cam CF stands for C frame, let's say, and yes, cam C frame 2. There we go. Cam CF stands for C frame, as I've said, 1. So let's define it, and now the last one is our cam sub. So cam sub workspace cam sub. So you might be wondering what I'm doing right here. So in order to refer to those parts, we need to get their path, and their path is basically workspace and then the instance, so depending on what kind of variable we are at. So that's on defining them. Now the next step is to manipulate the camera so it directly looks to our scene. So camera subject is equal to cam sub. So we are basically setting the camera subject to our preset camera subject, which is here. It basically makes this part the subject, and this part is of course in the center of the scene, and therefore the scene becomes our subject. Okay, so that's the idea behind of that. The next thing is of course our C frame. So cam C frame is equal to cam CF 1 C frame. So our first C frame we want to apply, which is right here, and we want to apply this part's C frame at the beginning. And we of course will change it later, so we will change it to the second part C frame, which is about here. But before we do that, let's change the camera type. So the camera type determines on whether you're able to move your camera freely or you are limited to one spot or to one axis, so sometimes you're only able to move up and down, or if you're completely blocked from moving your camera around as you desire. So that's what the camera type is about. And in this case, we want to do the last thing, so I've just mentioned, so being completely unable to move your camera around as I am doing it currently. And we only achieve that with this scriptable, the scriptable property right here. So let's apply this one. And now, if I start this game, then we should either be focused on a scene, as we are, or we should, be focused on a sky in the back. So it might happen that we have turned the part wrongly, but never mind that, because it is obviously not the case currently. And as you can see, we are able to see the scene from very far. Let's add a wait. Let's wait 2 seconds before the C frame changes to our second C frame. And we, of course, do the following. So let me just give you a quick example. So let me copy this line, which obviously determines the C frame. Let's set it to the second C frame, okay? So we can do 2 methods right here. The first one is going to be shown right here now. But I do not prefer doing that. So as you can see, it just changed the C frame right away. There was no transition in between, and it looked pretty awful, to be honest. So that was the method I preferred to use back then when I started scripting. And I didn't knew about tweening, so I really like to use those for I loops as a replacement for tweening, because I didn't even know about tweening. And the second method is about tweening, so as I've just mentioned, and it will obviously create a transition from C frame 1, so from this state to this one. So I have explained tweening and tweening in terms of camera manipulation. I've explained that in one of my mini tutorials, so check out the first mini tutorial about camera manipulation. So I've explained camera manipulation and tweening, so the connection between those two in terms of camera manipulation. All right, so I recommend checking that out if you want to learn more on that. And so let's create a tween. So let's define a variable which holds the tween, obviously. Let me zoom in a little, because some of you have been complaining about the script's size, but I'm like able to read it even if I watch the videos myself, but I have a big monitor, to be honest. So local t equals our tween. And how are we able to create the tween now? So we first of all have to access the tween service. So game get service, tween service, obviously, and then create. Now, this create function holds 3 parameters. The first one, or three arguments. The first one is the instance we want to tween. Means we want to create the transition of. So, in our case, our camera, because we want to create a transition of our camera's C frame. Now, the second thing are the tween information we obviously have to give. So information like easing style, easing direction, the time in which the transition should durate. Is that the correct verb? I don't know. So the time in seconds and how long the transition should go on. And the third argument is about the transition itself. So when is the transition done, or to what extent does our instance experience that transition? So that's our third argument. And if you have no idea on what I'm talking about right now, then check out that video I've just talked about camera manipulation and tweening. So one of my mini tutorials, I highly recommend it to you if you have no idea, if you're totally confused, guys. Check that out. Second argument, as I've said, tween info, new, And as you can see right here, those are all of these arguments we have to fill in inside of those brackets. So the time, of course, let's set it to 1. The easing style, linear, or I don't know, linear. How do you pronounce it in English, guys? I have no clue. And then the second argument, no, the third argument, easing direction. Let's select out. The repeat count, let's put it to 0 because we do not want to repeat this thing. Also, no reverse, so false, and delay time 0 because we do not want to have any delay, guys. So that's it with the second argument. Now the third one, as I've said, is to what extent this whole transition should, go on. So, or the goal of our transition. So, what kind of state does our instance right here want to reach? Okay, so we obviously want to reach the state of the C frame, which is equal to our cam CF2's C frame, obviously. Okay, so maybe if you're now able to understand a bit better. Okay, so we obviously need to fill in some kind of property right here. So we want our transition to be in terms of our C frame, of course. And we want our camera C frame to be equal to the cam CF2's C frame after this whole transition is done. Okay, but for some reason it is not working. Yeah, it does not work because we need to remove that. And that's it. Now we need to make this whole tween play, because that's pretty usual to do. Now this whole tween should work. So after 2 seconds, our camera should slowly move or slowly zoom into the scene. As you can see, it does work. Of course, you're able to change the time and therefore make the zoom be a lot more faster. It actually depends on what you want to do. And it's pretty cool, to be honest, so you're able to play around with it and do as your desire. So let me just put this more into the scene. Alright. Yeah. So that's on the camera manipulation part. Now the next thing we want to do is, of course, we want to set those characters, animations, or we want to work with those characters now. So we obviously need to animate them. Let's just quickly do that. Let's start with Roger. And we want him to knee down, because he obviously is going to be executed. So let's quickly do that. There's not going to be something here special, so do not expect something big. It's going to be something pretty decent, I think. Okay, so this is alright, I think. Let me add some kind of briefing to it. Yeah, so this is a bit too much. Maybe this will do. All right. Yeah, so this is pretty good. Let's also make those arms move a bit. All right, pretty good. Let's export this whole thing so you're not able to see it. Oh wait, before we export, make sure go to those three dots right here, then go to set animation priority and set this thing to action. Pretty important, guys. And then hit export. And now you have to export it onto your account. And do not forget to copy the animation ID and paste it down here if you want to, but just save it somewhere, okay? Because it is going to be pretty important to you. And now let's add a animation inside of this character. So right click on the character and then insert object, this animation, and put it right here. Let's call this thing Roger Idle. Now we need to make the idling animation of those two. Let's see how that will go out, or how this will go. So guard. Okay, so this is actually pretty okay for the animation, but since I'm not able to memorize all of my steps I've just done, there is another method on how you can mirror that animation, so how you can, turn it around, if you want to say it like that. And I'm gonna show that in a bit. Let me just finish this animation. I know it's not perfect, but it at least is something, so I'm grateful about that. Oh, do not forget to loop it. Perfect. Now export this thing. Yeah. Oh, before you export it, again, do not forget to check for the animation priority, so set it to action, and then export. Do not forget to copy the animation ID as well. And yeah, create another animation inside of our guard. I've just copied Roger's animation, and now I'm going to call it guard idle. Replace the animation ID. Now we want to mirror that animation, okay? So without, I don't think that we need to open the animation editor to do it, because, let me look for it. There is a script on the ROBLOX developer forum. Where is it? Okay, there we go. There it is. So thanks for Xaxa. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but thank you for that. For sharing this animation mirrors script to us. So if you want to mirror your animation as well, then I'll leave you a script right here inside of the workspace called animation mirror. So this is the script, and we need to make some changes, so you do not even need to touch all of these. So do not touch that until those lines down here. So all we gotta change is, first of all, the dummy right here. So let's change that to art. And the keyframe sequence origin needs to be changed to the name of this thing, which is guard. So let's do that as well. And now, if you're done, Control A to select everything, then Control C to copy everything, and then paste it down into this bar right here. And if you do that, you'll receive this thing right here. And what this thing is, so let me just show it to you. So if we go inside of the animation editor and then load it, then let me see. Yeah, so it turns around. Okay, let me delete those. So the animation has been mirrored more or less. Well, it is better than what I would have done in this case. To be honest. Oh, well, no, it has been mirrored. Okay, it has been mirrored completely. I'm sorry for that. I was just confused because the sword was not moving with the hand, but the sword is attached to the player's left hand and not to the right hand. And yeah, so that was the issue, guys. But yeah, so just open up this mirrored animation, then export it. And then we of course need to copy the animation ID again and apply that animation to our second guard right here. So let me do that quickly. Guard idle. There we go. Select this ID, paste it inside, and now we have just done the animations. And now we need to, make those animations play. So let's just do that. Let's create a script. And it's animation. Let's put the animation inside. And then let's do local anim. So we are obviously creating a new variable. Then script, find first child of class, animation, which is going to be this one. Okay, so only store one animation inside of the script, not multiple animations, because if you store multiple ones inside of it, it won't work. Okay, so I'm gonna I want to make this thing as automated as possible, so with less manual actions. So I just want to be able to put an animation inside, and then this whole thing should work, okay? So I do not want to change anything in the script after I'm done. That's why I'm only checking for the class, not for the name. Otherwise, I would need to change the name every time I put a new animation inside. And we do not want to do that. So we are getting this animation right here. Now we need to get the loader. So obviously we are only able to load animations through the humanoid. So we need to do human script. Refers to this script, by the way. So script, find first child of class, script. We are looking for the first child of class animation, which is this one, because this is the only child inside of the script, which is, by the way, an animation. Now we need to refer to the humanoid. So script, parent humanoid, then load animation, okay, and then anim. So load animation is a function of our humanoid, which requires the animation as an instance inside of those brackets. Okay, once we have created this loader, we can make this thing load. Now copy this animation script, put it inside of them, and not forget to move the animations inside. There we go. As you can see, it has worked. There are still a few things I would like to change. Let's move them a bit more forward. Let's change something about Roger's animation, because as you can see, he's kneeling in the air. We do not want to do that, so let's move him to the ground. Then export it again, and this time override an existing asset, which is in the left bottom corner. So select that, and then select your Roger animation. And then we should be able to test and say that everything is working perfectly. And as you can see, that's the case. Okay. Now we want Roger to say some words before he dies, before he gets stabbed by those two guards. So in order to do that, go back inside of this camera script. By the way, let's call this camera script cutscene, because cutscene, or let's call it scene overall, because this name is more fitting, I think. Now we need to script the text. So let's add a screen GUI. Then let's add a text table, a text label. Sorry. Let's set the size. So this size, I don't know. Let's lower this one, let's increase this one. Okay, this one should be fine. Okay. Pretty funny text fonts which have been added. I haven't seen them all, to be honest. But yeah, so there are a lot of new fonts, as I see. Cool. Really. Let's stick with I don't know. Let's stick with this one. Okay. Now, we first of all should get the text we want to display. So let me select the text, or let me get the text Roger has set before his death. So let me just quickly get that. I'm pausing the video at this point just to search Google or ask Google for that. Okay, so there are like multiple translations, but this one seems to be the direct translation from the manga. I don't know how to pronounce it in English again. So you want my treasure, you can have it. I left everything I gathered together in one place. Now you just have to find it. So that's the text. That's the statement Roger has said. And with that statement, he has lit the fire. Yeah, which has been following Luffy since his journey. Yeah. Okay, now in order to make the text appear one by one, we need to make use of a class Roblox has shared with us. So text animation Roblox. So let me just Google it pretty quick. And yes, so on the Roblox developer hub, I think, there's this class, this module you can make use of. So they have left it there for whatever reason, but yeah, so let's just make use of it, to be honest. And I'm just going to show you how you can use it. It's pretty easy. It's called a typewriter. So you obviously need to put it inside of a module script, as I've just done it. And yeah, well, let me show you how you can use it. So if you want to use it per script, you first of all need to refer to that module script, or you need to require it, to be exact. So what do I mean by that? A module script always contains functions or variables you can make use of from other scripts. But in order to be able to access them, you need to require them in the first place. And how do you do that? So let's define a variable called typewriter, which is obviously going to refer to this script. But since this is a module script, we need to do require. So we are requiring all of its content regarding functions, variables, whatsoever. And then game get service replicated storage. So we are referring to this replicated storage. Then what we're going to do is write typewriter. That's on how we can require this this function, which is this one, typewrite. We will need that to make our text appear one by one. Where is it? And yeah. So now we gotta do typewrite. And what was it? Yeah, typewriter. Typewriter. And then the first argument was the GUI object, means our text label, and the second one is the text. So script parent screen GUI text label. And the second one is its text. So let's just quickly copy this text, put it inside of here, and get rid of this. Now let's see if this works. You probably need to add a weight to it because, oh, okay. Attempt to call a null value. Line 16. Script parent screen GUI text label. Okay. Let me just quickly change those names because I do not like, the default names right here. So, speech, wait for child, speech text. So let's work with wait for child. And let's add a wait right here. So wait 0.4 seconds as we do right here. So do that. Attempt to call a new value. Why is that happening? Yeah, but what exactly is supposed to be the null value? Is it the text label? Or is it the typewriter? So what is supposed to be the null value? Well, let's get rid of those. Probably the typewriter. Let's try to use wait for child as well. Really, it is funny how Roblox is causing unnecessary issues. Really, guys, really. It's so funny. Type right. Oh my god. Type right. Type right. Just because of that mistake. Really, really, really. Oh my god. Guys, please. There we go. So this is the text. It's a bit too slow, to be honest, so let's quickly change that. Delay time. Let's put it to 0.05. Yeah. And that's it. So I don't know how many seconds that speech took, but let's make those guards step Roger after 4 seconds. So we obviously, in order to make those guards step him, we need to, animate that. And we need to communicate with the server. So to do that, add a remote event instead of the replicated storage. Let's call this one scene. And let's add a script inside of server script service. Let's call this scene. First thing we want to do is we want to define that remote event. So remote. Now we need to refer to it, of course. So you can basically just copy this thing, then change this to scene. That's it. Right here. And file server with, I don't know, snap Roger as a task. So the first argument is gonna tell the server script right here what to do. Copy this, put it right here as well, and then we of course need to notice file server requests. So in order to do that, we want to make use of the onServer event. So remote onServer event connect function player and value. So this thing basically notices when someone is trying to file server the remote event, and takes action depending on what kind of value is inside of that fire server request. So if the value is to stab Roger, then let's define those two guards. So workspace guard. So our first guard and the second guard, guard 2, workspace guard 2. And we want to change their animations, of course. So let me create a stab animation for him. Create new. Roger ST stands for stab. I don't know if Roblox accepts stabbing as a word. Maybe they censor it. I'm not sure, because it is about violence and stuff, you know. Okay, so this is my stab animation. Let's loop this one, because we want the scene to stop at that point, so we want the scene only to consist of Roger's speech and then him getting stabbed by both guards. So export this one and put the animation ID right here, because we will now, where is it? Yeah, duplicate this one and then put it directly into our guard, and let's call this guard stab, and replace the animation ID inside with the one you've just acquired through exporting. And now again, we want to mirror that animation, so let's make use of this one, of the script. Where is it? Guard, yeah. So change this to Roger ST, copy it, put it right here. Then we've gained this one, this Roger symmetric. Now we can load this one, delete this one, and there we go. Now export it as well. Call it whatever you want to. Copy the animation ID again. Let's put it down here as well. I'm just going to copy this guard step animation and then just add it inside of our second guard, but of course replace the animation ID, and there we go. Now inside of the script, all we gotta do is so let me create a table containing both guards. This will make everything a lot more easier, because we will just loop through that table. So G stands for guard. Here's guard table do. Now we can just easily say G animation guard idle. Oh no, we first of all need to load it. So G humanoid load animation G animation guard idle, and we of course want to stop that animation. And yeah, we instead want to load the stab animation, and we want to play it. Maybe this code will do. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So they were now supposed to stab him, but yeah, I have failed the animation. He needs to rotate a lot more. One, two, three. No, let's say 1, 2. And of course, re-export it again. Okay, here we go. I'm curious, what happens when I outline this? So, or not outline, but when I exclude it, what will happen? Yes, so okay, so that's actually pretty good. So it stops the script automatically. That's good. Here we go. Now they have stabbed him. There he goes. Our Roger. Now to end this whole thing, let's delete the text inside, and then our scene is done, guys. So if you have any suggestions on what I could add to this scene, then tell me. Alright, so there we go. So after that, all of these buttons will appear, and then you will be able to select either playing the game or editing your character or whatsoever. So if you have enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and if you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, share this video to all of your friends, leave me feedback in the comment section, guys, and check out the description to gain access to this place. So I will leave a link to this uncopyrighted place. And yeah, don't forget to check it out. See you and take care.